Coronation presents Firebreaker, The Legend of George and the Dragon, Chapter 1, An Interrupted Birthday.
Are you ready, Sebastian?
Don't you need your glasses, Grandfather?
I'm telling you a story, boy, not reading one.
But still.
Oh, all right. Goodness. Now then, this is a story near to my heart, one which I have long kept to myself.
Does it have a happy ending? Grandfather?
We shall see. Now then, listen well, and I will begin.
What is it, Grandfather?
Patience. I will tell you, child. We have plenty of time. Beautiful, isn't it?
It looks so old.
This is Ascalon. This spear has been handed down from one warrior to another since the days that angels walked among men.
Angels?
Ascalon has seen many battles and been carried by many great men. With my own eyes, I've seen it used to fight a dragon and to save a princess.
What?
Yes, indeed. Let me tell you the story of George. George, the Dragon Slayer. Imagine a land not far from here, in the eastern reaches of the Roman Empire. In a desert valley, there was a small, tucked-away village. The homes were modest, more like caves, carved right into the base of great sandy mountains. This was Cappadocia, the home of a young boy, not much older than you. His name was George. On this day, the little village was decorated with banners swinging in the dry air. Red and white flags covered in symbols, some mysterious, but one that I'm sure you're very familiar with. This wasn't any ordinary day. This was a birthday party.
George, come here! Well, now tell me, do you like the decorations, the flags, the cross of Christ?
It's all so beautiful, Mother. Thank you.
George, come back here.
Yes, Mother?
Your father has a special surprise for you.
Even at a young age, George had inherited his father's leadership and courage. But along with those virtues came a touch of pride. Still, his parents doted upon him, and all his friends looked up to him.
George, my boy, you're 11 years old today.
10.
George, my boy, you're 10 years old today. Your mother may not think you're ready, but I see strength in you. Great strength.
Happy birthday, George.
For me?
Do you want to ride him?
Yes, Father, I do.
But before you ride him, you must give him a name.
I shall name him Michael.
Michael. An excellent name for the steed of a brave knight. Ah, and before you set off on your next adventure, a blessing. Everyone, gather, please!
George's father parted the guests to make room for a hooded old man. The crowd grew silent.
Please, Master Theodore.
Instinctively, George's parents looked around, their eyes carefully scanning the horizon. George's father then nodded to the old man, who slowly raised his hands over George and his new horse.
A blessing of protection on this, your son George, and his noble steed. May the Holy Cross be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Begone, serpent. Never tempt me with your vanities. The poison you offer is evil. Amen.
Thank you, Master Theodore. Well, get to it, son.
But be careful!
Come on, Michael!
Well, Mariana, my dear, look at him. What do you think now?
He does look grand, like a soldier. But there is still so much he does not know. The Empire grows ever more...
Shh, my love. Not today. For now, let us enjoy this peace.
Yeah! George, may I take a ride on your horse? On my birthday? Please. Well, all right. I'll give you the next ride. Thank you, George. But remember, I'm not just George anymore. I'm now Sir George, Knight of Rome.
If you're a knight of Rome, why don't you have those silly feathers on top of your hat?
The Roman army is the greatest army ever. They're not silly. They're grand.
George's party stretched late into the evening. George and his friends, each taking turns riding Michael, who George was sure must be the fastest horse in Cappadocia. There was music, feasting, and laughter. All the people loved George like he was their own. It would have been a memory George cherished forever. But soon, it would become something he would do anything to forget. It all changed when a group of strange-looking people approached the village gate. They were all dressed in dark robes and wore polished metal masks that completely covered their faces. George's father rushed to confront them.
You have no right to be here.
You do not pay the tribute, and you dare to fly that flag? Draco mihi dux, si dominus meus Draco. He has been summoned.
The masked strangers continued the chant, and then, slowly walking away from the light of the village fires, they formed a circle. The eerie chant continued. It was as if they were calling to something. The Cappadocians became unsettled. Parents began to gather their children hurriedly. Something in the air changed. It no longer felt dry and warm. It felt cool, wet, and thick.
Whoa there. Steady, Michael. Mother, what was that?
It was nothing, my dear. Please, everyone, stay where you are!
George could sense his mother's uneasiness, as though she were hiding something from him. She ran to George's father. Then the hooded man reappeared at the gate. He spoke quietly with George's parents.
Are you certain it's coming?
Yes, my lady. You heard its wretched voice, did you not? Are you ready, Antonius?
I am. Will you fetch it for me?
The old man nodded and slipped away silently.
Father, what's happening?
It'll be all right, my son. You must be brave. Go and stay with your friends.
Hurry! Many of the guests were trying to leave, and George's father pushed through them to look at the dark, rocky horizon.
Michael, did you see the look on Father's face?
Suddenly, George's father turned back and yelled,
Dragon!
A massive dragon appeared in the dark sky. its huge wings blocking out the light of the moon. It descended upon the village, and suddenly, fire. The great shadow spewed flames across the entire village. Suddenly, everything was smoldering as the dragon swept through the air. Everywhere George looked, his friends and family were running for cover. He held on to Michael, burying his small face in his mane and closing his eyes tight. Then suddenly, the great beast had landed. The impact caused Michael to falter, and George was thrown to the ground. He looked up. The dragon was massive, towering over the village, with flames licking the edges of its nostrils. It lowered its enormous head, and its snake-like eyes bored into George's soul. A strange smile came to its lips, and its throat began to glow red. Flaming saliva dripped from its jaws and puddled in small pools of flame at its feet. George was mesmerized. Everything went quiet as firelight danced around him and smoke and ash filled his nostrils. All he could hear was the distant chanting of the strangers and the crackling of the fire all around him. His skin felt like it was burning and ice cold all at once. He was paralyzed. Then, as if in a dream, visions of knighthood, of Roman legions, of wealth and glory filled his imagination. His eyes began to roll back and his knees began to buckle. George's father lunged at the boy and sent him sprawling, breaking George from his trance. He looked up to see his parents running to him, and then, with a blast of flame,
No!
they were gone. George didn't remember much after that. All he had were foggy images. The great beast roaring, smoke dark as pitch, the sound of the chant, his beloved village lost in ash and flame. But something dragged him away. As he came to, he heard the sounds of hooves.
Father! Mother!
He was on Michael's back, galloping at full speed. The horse had rescued him. He didn't know where Michael was taking him. He simply closed his tearful eyes and held on for dear life.
Michael! Faster! Faster, dear friend!
Michael carried George mile after mile after mile as he drifted in and out of consciousness. Finally, as the sun rose, now in a strange land, George collapsed in exhaustion. A Roman sentry squinted into the sun.
It's a boy. There's a boy in the gully. Open the gates and bring him in.
This colt has some spirit!
Fine, fine. Give him some water and let him be.
When George awoke, he found himself in a military tent with 3 Roman soldiers.
Boy, can you hear me?
Just then, a centurion walked into the tent.
At ease.
Yes, sir.
I am Gaius Lacertus, commander of this unit. And what is your name?
George, sir.
Well, George, my men found you alone just now. Where are your parents?
There was a dragon.
The soldiers glanced at one another, but said nothing.
My condolences, child. It's more rare nowadays, but sadly these things still happen. Regardless, could you tell me what this is?
The centurion held up a white flag with a red cross on it, one of the decorations George's mother had prepared for his party.
We found this on your horse's saddle. Do you know what it means?
Red and white are my favorite colors, sir. My mother made it.
Really?
He tossed the flag away casually.
Well, Cappadocian, what's to become of you now that you're an orphan?
I don't know, sir.
Perhaps we could help each other. Here's my offer. If you're willing to serve, you can stay with us. When you're old enough and you've proven yourself, you may join the Roman army as a foot soldier.
Join the Roman army? Sir, I should very much desire to protect the needy and the helpless.
The centurion glanced at the 3 soldiers and smiled.
Yes, well, that's what we do, isn't it? Very good. It's settled then. Move his tent next to mine so I can instruct him on the ways of the Centuria myself.
Yes, sir.
As George's thoughts drifted to his family, his eyes filled with tears. After the others had left, one of the Roman soldiers quietly picked up George's flag with the cross and pressed it into his hand.
Welcome to the Roman army, George. I'd hide this if I were you.
Coronation presents Firebreaker, The Legend of George and the Dragon, Chapter 2, A Most Unwelcome Guest.
Grandfather, that dragon was gross.
Yes, indeed, Sebastian. Gross, hideous, fearsome, fell.
Revolting?
Revolting, all right, yes, but one must remember...
Disgusting.
Yes, there are many adjectives to describe dragons, and believe me, I will be using them all. But the most accurate is...
Evil.
Evil. Very perceptive, my boy. The very embodiment of evil. Let me tell you another chapter of the tale.
Do it.
Far across the sea from Cappadocia, in a lush green valley, lay the kingdom of Cyllene. Ruled by its king, Cosmo, the people of Cyllene lived in peace and tranquility until one morning, a stranger arrived.
What's this then?
Plisto, the king's trusted advisor and governor, a man known for his handsome face and acute intelligence, hopped down from his horse and knelt by the shore of the lake. His guards gathered around him.
What have we here?
What's that horrid stench?
Come here, little one. Well.
My Lord Plisto, if I'm not mistaken, that is a dragon. I wouldn't...
Aren't you a pretty little thing?
Plisto gathered the creature up into his hands. In the sunlight, its scales shone like the colors of the rainbow. It was so harmlessly small, fitting comfortably in Plisto's hands. It cooed, climbing around Plisto's fingers, its small claws wrapping around his thumb. It was enchanting.
Beautiful. Aren't you, little one?
My lord, be careful.
Nonsense, Captain. It's smiling. Just look at it.
Just then, the tiny dragon clamped its jaws around Plisto's finger.
Stop that, you! Let go! He must be hungry, is all. Captain, bring me something from our store, quickly.
But my lord, if you feed it, it will only want more, and then...
Do as I say, or I'll give it your nose to nibble off.
You there, Ehab! Give it something!
The guard rummaged through his saddlebag.
I really don't think this is a good idea.
Ehab pulled a leg of lamb from his saddlebag and tossed it to the ground at Plisto's feet. The creature sniffed the huge piece of meat before it, and as the men looked on in fascination, its eyes rolled back in its scaly head. Its jaws slowly opened to 5 times their size, and the dragon swallowed the leg whole, like a great python. Several of the guards shuddered and looked away in horror, but Plisto stared in wonder.
My lord Plisto, we must leave this foul thing here and warn the king immediately.
Foul?
Plisto slowly knelt down in the grass before the beast and lowered his head toward its mouth. The dragon crawled forward toward Plisto's ear.
What's it doing, Nico? I think it's talking to him.
My lord,
As
please!
Plisto extended his hand, the dragon slithered up and perched itself on his shoulder. He rose slowly and turned to his men. A strange, mechanical expression settled over his face.
My lord, look at his face.
My friends, have no fear. Caicos is our ally. Caicos is our protector. A new day dawns for Silene. Caicos has spoken.
I don't like this.
As Plisto and his men paraded through the city, the dragon still perched on his shoulder. The people poured out into the streets, clamoring for a view of the curious creature.
What is that, Mommy?
It looks like a little dragon.
I want to play with it.
Me too. It's so cute. I want to feed it.
Oh, yes, Mommy. We ate most of our liver and onions you made. Can we please feed it the rest of our liver? Please, Mommy?
No.
Please.
No. Stop this at once.
No, all of you, stop!
But we don't like liver and onions, Grandfather.
Are you mad?
Go take a nap, old man.
But one lone voice of reason was not enough to sway the rest of the Silenian people. Already they had begun to come under the creature's spell. Their eyes transfixed on the dragon, they surged past the old man and followed the parade through the winding streets. As the procession approached the town square, the captain whispered to his 2 wary guards.
Ehab, Nico, come ahead with me. We must warn the king.
At the far end of the beautiful square, the king's daughter, Aya, emerged from the royal palace and stood on a low balcony above the square.
Captain, what is all this?
My lady, Lord Plisto approaches with a most unwelcome guest.
Another emissary from Ardahan?
No, my lady. A dragon.
What?
See for yourself.
The captain and the guards turned back toward the entrance of the square. Plisto and the rest of the guards entered the square. The dragon was now clinging to Plisto's back and smiling at the adoring crowd. At the sight of the creature, Princess Aya caught her breath and raised her hand to her mouth.
May the Holy Cross be my light.
Horrified, the princess called to her servants.
Summon the king!
As the strange parade crossed the square, the dragon would flap its wings, rise a few feet above Plisto, and fly clumsily over the crowd, each time drawing louder cheers from the adoring people. The creature seemed to drink in the crowd's attention.
Is it just me, or is that thing much bigger than it was an hour ago? Oh, you're right.
Just then, the king emerged from the palace doors, his courtiers still hurriedly buttoning his robes. He rushed to his daughter's side.
I was still asleep, Aya. What is it? They said it was urgent.
Look.
The princess pointed out toward the approaching crowd. The king raised his hand to shade his eyes from the morning sun.
Oh, my. What in the world?
It's a dragon, Father.
I know it's a dragon, my dear. I've just never seen one so small and so charming.
Charming? You cannot be serious, Father.
My lord, you know the perils better than all of us.
Don't you remember the stories you used to tell me?
Bah, those were just stories, my girl. Fairy tales. I want to get a closer look at this thing.
The king clapped his hands for his court to follow and descended the marble stairs to the square. Aya stood alone, speechless.
Make way for the king! Plisto! Back so soon from Ardahan? What is this you bring me? A kingly gift from their not-so-kingly king?
A gift for all Silene, my lord, but not from Ardahan. From beyond.
The dragon, now in Plisto's arms, fixed its gaze on the king and smiled mysteriously.
Magnificent. A bit odoriferous, but magnificent.
Good King Cosmo.
Plisto and the rest of his guards brushed past the king and ascended the balcony steps.
And good citizens of Silene, I present to you Caicos!
With great effort, Plisto held the dragon aloft. Its claws dug into Plisto's skin, blood trickling down his arms, but he seemed oblivious. The creature flapped its wings and flew off across the square. The force of the wind knocked over several villagers and toppled vegetable carts. As the entire town stared in wonder at the dragon circling above the square, Princess Aya climbed down from the low balcony and rushed to her father's side.
Father, I beg you, come to your senses. These creatures are altogether evil.
Now, child. We have always trusted good Plisto's counsel. He will not lead us astray. It is but a harmless amusement. Just look how happy the people are.
As the dragon circled a last time around the square and approached the palace, it let forth a tremendous blast of fire, incinerating a helpless goat tied up in the marketplace. The villagers looked on in horror, and a sober hush came over the square. The dragon came to rest at the top of the palace stairs. It was now nearly as tall as Plisto himself.
Good people of Silene, Caicos the Powerful has spoken to me. Caicos will protect us from enemies without and within our borders. Peace will reign if we but accept Caicos into our midst. He will fulfill all our desires and make us prosper. In exchange, Caicos requires only a small tribute.
The Silenians looked hesitatingly at one another, but slowly began to nod in agreement.
Finally, we'll be saved! We'll have a protector!
The dragon threw back its head and let forth a terrifying shriek. And the people cheered once again.
Captain, do you see the situation as I do?
Yes, my lady. You've heard the stories of dragon desolation. From the north, from Cappadocia?
I have. This will be the death of Silene, unless we act now. Ehab, gather others of virtue. We must clear the king's mind and turn back this evil tide before it's too late. Go. I will send word.
Yes, my lady.
As Aya's trusted guards disappeared into the crowd, she turned back to the macabre spectacle in the square. As the king applauded and laughed, she looked to the top of the steps. Plisto's eyes were already fixed on her. Slowly, the dragon too turned to her and smiled.
Coronation presents Firebreaker, The Legend of George and the Dragon, Chapter 3, The Messenger,
as he came to, he heard the sounds of hooves. He was on Michael's back, galloping at full speed. The horse had rescued him.
What? You already told me this part, Grandfather.
He didn't know where Michael was taking him. He simply closed his tearful eyes and held on for dear life.
Faster, dear friend.
And then the dragon was upon him. In a cold sweat, George awoke in his new Roman tent.
Mother.
Every night ended the same way for young George, with the same nightmare. And so he began every day with the same prayer.
May the Holy Cross be my light.
May the dragon never be my overlord.
George's whole life became dedicated to serving in the Roman camp. And as he grew, his brother soldiers became the only family he had. His memories of Cappadocia faded with time, becoming but half-remembered dreams. Lacertus assigned George to the stables, where he continued to care for his oldest friend, Michael. George loved working with the horses, yet he wanted more. He looked at the Roman soldiers, so proud and sure of themselves, with their glinting armor and swords, with fire in their eyes. No one could defeat them, the stable boy thought. And one day, he believed he could be the same.
George, the Cappadocian, are you ready to serve the Emperor of Rome and his army?
I am.
Let the test begin!
George stepped out on the arena. On the other side stood Pravus, the biggest, meanest soldier in the camp. George swallowed, adjusted his helmet, and stepped forward.
Greetings, Puer Georgius. Did your nanny give you a nice bottle of milk this morning?
George knew this was his chance to become something more, to no longer be only a stable boy, to become a knight of Rome, like he always dreamed. He closed his eyes, preparing himself for the duel. Suddenly, his mind was filled with images of dancing firelight, with anger, and then glowing red eyes. Startled, his eyes snapped open. Pravus was moving in. The anger filled him, and he shot back at Pravus.
That's a nasty cough you've got there, Pravus. Are you sure you're ready for this?
Oh, I've been ready since the day we dragged you into camp, boy.
Although George was no match for Pravus' brute strength, he had been well trained by Lacertus, the best swordsman in the Centuria. As George and Pravus exchanged blows, his mind raced. He felt the anger in those glowing red eyes. He struck harder and harder. Soon, his opponent was sweating like a pack horse. Out of breath, he swung his sword at George wildly until George disarmed him and sent him crashing onto his back. He put his sword on Pravus' throat.
Well done.
George looked up to Lacertus.
Centuria! I give you George, a legionary of Rome!
He had done it. He was filled with pride, and yet, even more so, he was unsettled by the fire he felt burning in his chest. Far away in Cyllene, after years of growing oppression, what began as merely a curious spectacle had decayed into the horror of tyranny. The people began to fight amongst themselves. At first, some tried to resist, but eventually gave in to the dragon's demands, petrified of the serpent. It was as if the king was asleep. Princess Aya knew that it was now or never. If she didn't do something, Plisto and his horde of dragon worshippers would take Silene completely. She had few allies, but among her most trusted were Nico, the captain of her guard, Zoe, her maidservant and shadow lieutenant, and Zoe's brother, a young boy named Demetrius. Like George, Demetrius was an accomplished horseman, and it was precisely for this reason that Aya had chosen him for the next stage of their resistance.
You travel only by night.
I know.
And follow the river.
Yes.
Search the towns along the way.
Zoe, Nico, I know all of this. Princess Aya has repeated her plan to me 1,000,000 times.
You know, little brother, maybe I should go instead. After all, I'm the better.
My lady.
My lady.
My friends, the hour has come.
The princess drew near to the boy and spoke to him softly. He dropped his head and looked down at the ground.
Demetrius.
Gently, she lifted his chin and looked into his eyes. A single tear dripped down his cheek. In the shadows of the stable, Zoe wiped at her own eyes.
My boy, my dear boy, your noble brother's sacrifice will not be in vain. Ride now with his blessing and with those of all who resist this evil. Find Silene's savior.
Nico stepped forward and put his strong hand on the boy's shoulder.
Just make sure he's a little bigger than you.
Safe travel, my brother. Come back to us.
The skinny boy swung himself up in his saddle and nodded to the princess.
My lady.
Will it work, my lady? Will he find a warrior?
It is our only hope.
Back at the Roman camp, George was summoned to meet with Lacertus. He entered his tent.
Ah, good morning, soldier.
Morning, sir.
At ease. Well, take a seat, George. Tomorrow, we head back to Egypt, to civilization. Why the governor kept us in this backwater town for so long, I haven't the foggiest idea.
Sir, the people here are suffering.
Bah, these people are no concern of ours. Soon we'll be surrounded by peace, prosperity, and respect for Rome.
But, sir, we could be building roads and aqueducts to improve their lives. Would this not be in the best interest of the Empire?
Enough!
An aura of desperation and rage came over Lacertus, such as George had never seen in him. But then it left, as quickly as it had come.
Yours is not to speculate on the interest of the Empire. Your duty is simply to follow the Emperor's will, without question. Do you understand, soldier?
Yes, sir.
And find me some decent wine for the journey. Something worthy of a centurion. All the honey in the Empire can't make this Posca drinkable.
Yes, sir.
George burned with desire to be a grand soldier of Rome, but in the depths of his heart, in the silent places, when the vague memories of Cappadocia, of his people, and of his faith would stir, he knew he was made for more than that. He yearned to help people, to really help them. Most of the soldiers couldn't understand that. They resented their outpost. They wanted glory and battle. But even in the Roman camp, there was another soldier like George. The soldier who had first told him to hide his birthday flag with the cross of Christ. Gerard, George's closest friend.
Well, that didn't go so well, did it?
You think?
George, you and I have to keep our heads down. We'll never survive if you keep drawing attention to yourself.
You're right, Gerard. I know.
The time will come for us to stand up for the helpless. But now, our duty is our allegiance to the Empire.
Well, I fear that time may never come.
As the two soldiers left the camp, they were watched by a mysterious figure, an old man in a hooded cloak. An eerie silence hung over the empty town as they emerged from a wine vendor with a bottle for the centurion.
Huh. It's even quieter than usual.
Help! Someone help!
What?
A young boy in great distress rode up to the soldiers.
Roman soldiers, please help me.
Whoa there! Hey, calm down, boy. What are you doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
I've been sent by my princess to find warriors.
Warriors? To fight whom?
The boy looked cautiously behind him.
A dragon.
What?
Nonsense, boy. Dragons haven't been seen around here in years.
It's true, I tell you, it's true. You must believe me.
George looked into the boy's tearful eyes.
I believe you, boy, but we can't.
You're Roman soldiers. You're supposed to help people, aren't you? You're supposed to be brave.
George looked down at the ground. Suddenly, the boy's horse reared up and started thrashing around. Without hesitation, George leapt onto the crazed horse's back and grabbed at the reins. The horse tried wildly to buck them both off. George held on with all his strength and whispered words of comfort to the beast.
Steady.